Well, thank you so much for coming today to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour. Give yourselves a hand for coming and helping support what is really kind of a musical theater here in Plymouth. And we're holding the curtain just a minute because we have a boatload of people coming in. And so we appreciate you. And she is going to teach you how to applaud here in just a moment. But do any of you have any questions? This is our 65th radio show. And we are preparing to distribute on PRX. We're getting support from WVPE and hoping to syndicate. So we are very excited about that. We're going to have a show in the fall, October 7th, I believe, at Merriman's Playhouse in South Bend. We're going up to South Bend to do a show. We're excited about that, and so is VPE. And that will be our first off-campus kind of show, which will be exciting. We hope to do a lot more of those in the area. So we're excited about taking the show on the road. Anyway, anybody have any questions about the radio hour? It's sort of modeled on Garrison Keillor's Prairie Home Companion, which was really modeled on earlier shows, such as the WLS Barn Dance, which I don't know if any of you have ever heard of, but all right, okay, and we really appreciate your enthusiasm here. We want you to use even more of that on the show. And so we want to encourage you to be as enthusiastic as possible during the show because we capture it. I don't know if you can see this tiny little mics up here, but there are these little microphones that actually just mic the audience. So one of the things that we have to be careful of is how much noise we make that's not applause and cheering. So if you have, and Nate usually gives this. Nate, can you?
I have a list. Yes, loud flatulence, John.
Yeah.
John.
Yeah.
we have we do you do have a song about that. We have a list. I feel like I always want to prepare this as a script, like when you go on an airline flight.
Yeah.
You know, the stewardess or whoever gets up and like shows you the little sign, click your seatbelt.
Right.
In this case, please unwrap your hard candies now.
Right. Right.
Any large ski gloves that have Velcro on them. Maybe your Dorito chips, if you need to crunch those, go ahead and do that now.
Right.
Don't
crimp your aluminum if you have a pop can with you. Don't.
Or a tinfoil hat. Please go ahead and
the
crunch
tinfoil
those
hats.
up now. So.
Right.
So anything that makes noise, silence your phones, please.
Oh, that's right. I want to remind.
That's also a big one.
I have to remind myself about that.
Right.
Sometimes.
We had one last week during the show. It was very extraordinary. So.
Yeah. Put your phones on do not disturb or whatever.
And now that we've gotten through that, and you've checked to make sure that your life raft is under your seat, we'll proceed on from there.
Right.
So have fun.
All right, and as we get everybody in the seats, we're going to call our applauseologist here. She's studied for years at Applause School.
I thought she was applause-onomer.
Okay.
When you're going to the moon.
Okay, let's give it up for Martina Sam here, who's going to teach you how to applaud.
Okay.
Right.
The thing here is we have a lot of people. Clap really fast. That's going to make it sound like clap. We want to clap. So when it's time to applaud, I'll jump up and just kind of start clapping. And I might do a backflip, maybe a cartwheel or something.
All right.
That's how it works.
Yeah, and you're going to get to welcome them several times to this stage, but let's welcome Joe Newberry and April Verch to our stage. All right. And let's see, the time clock is about ready to be snapped on by Howard over here. And Howard, by the way, is our, not today, he's not wearing camouflage today, but he sometimes camouflages himself because he will be holding our signboards today for our game show and also for the lyrics of our song at the end of the show, which we would like you to sing along to. And it's very easy. You're going to get to hear it in the beginning, and you'll get the signboard at the end, and we want you to join in, okay? At the end of the show. All right. John, are you ready to take this bus on the road?
I'm ready.
Okay. In every life, some rain must fall, and you'll get wet as your sorrow calls. But the sun will rise on a brand new morn. You'll be warm and dry and freshly born.
With support from Judith Robert and in the memory of our good friend Tom Kapasinskis, and with additional support from Marshall County Community Foundation and the Indiana Arts Commission and E. Lee Marshall. From historic downtown Plymouth, Indiana, where the Lincoln Highway and Michigan Road cross the banks of the beautiful Yellow River, it's the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour. I'm your announcer, Maggie Kubley, and joining us on our program today is a duo devoted to keeping traditional music alive, and they both have a tremendous amount of performing experience between them. The first of these individuals is an Ottawa Valley step dancer and fiddler with over 18 albums to her name. She began step dancing at age 3 and began learning fiddle at age 6. Throughout her childhood, she played both old-time fiddle and classical violin, having competed and won awards at fiddle contests inside and outside Ontario, as well as regularly performing with the Deep River Symphony Orchestra. She received a recording contract with Rounder Records in 2000, which led to the album Virtuosity, for which she received a prestigious Juno nomination for Best Roots and Traditional Solo Album. She's performed in countries all over the world and presented master classes and lectures across the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the remarkable April Verch to our stage. Our next guest is known around the world for his claw hammer banjo playing. He is also a powerful guitarist, singer, and songwriter. The Gibson Brothers version of his song Singing As We Rise, featuring guest vocalist Ricky Skaggs, won the 2012 IBMA Gospel Recorded Performance Award. With Eric Gibson, he shared the 2013 IBMA Song of the Year Award for They Called It Music. He was also a frequent guest on the popular long-running program Prairie Home Companion. He plays with the band Big Medicine and is often heard playing and singing with the popular group the Red Clay Ramblers. Let's give it up for Joe Newberry. And now, recorded live from the Wild Rose Moon Performing Arts Center in historic downtown Plymouth, Indiana, where the Art Deco Reese Theater is now enjoying its second lifetime of excitement and inspiration for the benefit of the local and regional community. Here is the radical rascal of all things lunar, or lunatic, your radio host, George Schricker.
The river goes round, around the bend. The river goes round, round, round till the very end. And when it stops, woo, it starts again. It won't be long till the river goes round. It won't be long till the river goes round and round and round, my friends. Well, welcome to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour. Thank you all for coming out. We really appreciate it today. It's great to see so many wonderful people here today, and old friends too. I'm so excited about that. And Maggie,
Yeah.
have you been doing anything exciting these days? I was wondering.
Have I been doing anything exciting these days? You know, I've been getting back into playing piano for fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, usually I'm trying to play piano for money, and it turns out you can just do it because you enjoy it. I'd completely forgotten, actually.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
Well, it's great, and it's great because occasionally I get to hear that.
Yes, that's true.
Right,
I'd like to teach piano students here at the Moon, actually.
I know. That's the
Yeah.
part I really enjoy.
Yes, well, hearing hearing those little kids test my patience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do.
It's fun.
And, I believe that we have our resident soothsayer and historian of remarkable and interesting thoughts with us today. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct, Maestro. We have words of wisdom shared in a note by our resident poet and philosopher, Rosie. Rosie sits atop my announcing booth here at the Moon and is ringed with wild roses around her head, multicolored braids down her back, and is attired in a silken dress with pea green leather petals. Rosie sits pensive and ready to dispense thoughts that are, in the words of Carl the skateboarder, both rad and gnarly. Her philosophical notes spring from her hands, both of which are verdant green leaves. Today's quote is from John Hartford, who was an American folk, country, and bluegrass composer and musician known for his mastery of the fiddle and banjo, as well as for his witty lyrics, unique vocal style, and extensive knowledge of Mississippi River lore. His most successful song is Gentle on My Mind, which won 3 Grammy Awards and was listed in BMI's Top 100 Songs of the Century. Hartford performed with a variety of ensembles throughout his career and is perhaps best known for his solo performances, where he would interchange the guitar, banjo, and fiddle from song to song. He invented his own shuffle tap dance move and clogged on an amplified piece of plywood, just like someone else we know, wink wink, while he played and sang. With us today to read Rosie's note is Joe Newberry. John, could you help us properly welcome Rosie and Joe to the Wild Rose Moon stage?
We have a note from Rosie. This note was wrote by Rosie. It's a wonder of a note, fresh off a ferry boat. If we voted on a quote, this note we'd vote the GOAT. We have a note from Rosie. Rosie.
This is a watershed day for me because Rosie has written me a little note, a cover note. It says, "Could you read this important note for me? My lips don't move or I would do it. Thanks," signed Rosie. This from John Hartford. Time is the most important thing there is. That is the only element that you can't withdraw from the situation and still have the situation exist. Everything depends on time. John Cowan, Hartford.
Rosie.
John, I never get tired of that little introduction you do.
Well, thank you, George.
Yes, and how's your life these days? Are you doing exciting things?
George, I'm doing something very exciting. I got this note card out just for you. I pulled this out of my pocket. You can see it's kind of wrinkled.
Oh my gosh.
But it's got a whole bunch of song titles written on it.
I see that.
That's a set list, George.
Oh, you've...
Because I played a nursing home show on Friday, And I got like 13 of them booked for next month so far. So I'll be trying to add to that number a little bit.
You're back in business, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. That's good. And you know who else is back in business? Joe Newberry and April Verch, and they're here today. Let's give them another nice hand for coming to our stage. And before I muddy up the waters with any questions, why don't you just play us a tune? That was just terrific, as always. You know, I can't help but just want to dance when you're dancing.
I saw you dancing over there. I enjoyed that. Thanks for joining me.
It's, you know, there's something about step dancing that communicates the essence of pure joy. There's, you know, and it goes back to your very childhood when you must have felt that joy in your feet and in your body, and it carried you into a career.
And all around me, yeah, every time I was around fiddle music and step dancing, people were celebrating and having a good time. You know, in the Ottawa Valley, people work hard, and there's a strong work ethic. But when they kick back, there's always music and dancing, and yeah, I grew up feeling that.
Yeah, and they have festivals in the area too that celebrate it, and you played with your sisters, right? Or
My sister dances and plays piano, and my dad sings and plays guitar. And my
Yeah.
mom keeps us in line.
How does she do that?
It's not easy.
I bet. Now, Joe, you're from Missouri.
I'm from Missouri, but I got to North Carolina as quick as I could.
But you have a history in Missouri.
I do. I come from a singing family from the Ozarks, And it was a great start to being a musician, because I was one of those kids. From the age of 5, they would put all the other children to bed. I would get up out of bed. I would go down to the landing, and I would say, "I shall now sing a song for you." And there you have it.
Right. And did you make those up, or did you sing out of a repertoire?
My first song that I ever wrote was a blatant ripoff of the Kingston Trio. It was called "Hang Down Your Head, Bugs Bunny."
That's great. Did you do that in your pajamas?
I did, my footy pajamas.
Yeah.
That's right.
That was a great thing. Well, now you're touring, and I understand you have an interesting story about how you got together. Some strange phone call or something. Am I right?
Well, we have a mutual friend. Her name is Janet Kenworthy, and she doesn't have it anymore, but at the time, she was running a beautiful little venue in Aberdeen, North Carolina, called the Rooster's Wife. And we both knew Janet, and we had both played at her venue, and she was telling me that she thought I would sound great with Joe Newberry. And she was also calling up Joe and saying, "Hey, why aren't you playing with April Verch yet?" She's one of those people that just, connects people. And so, yeah, she's the one that sort of planted the seed in our mind that this might be a good idea.
We got together basically just to shut her up.
And you actually scheduled a tour before you'd even seen each other, is that right?
We did, yeah. We had some time open up in our schedules, and so we booked the gigs and then met for the first time. And luckily, we liked each other.
Oh, that is good. And now, how do you work on your repertoire? Do each of you have favorite songs and various songs you're working on? But how do you decide what to work on next? Because there's such a big catalog.
We decided when we put together our duo that we would not draw from other influences from other projects that we do. So anything that you hear from Newberry and Verch is stuff you'll only hear from us. When we get together, we'll say, "I've got one that I think might work," and it's that sort of give and take. We do a holiday cheer tour every year, and we've started writing music for that tour each year, and we've done a couple of collaborations as well.
Right. And when you're doing collaborations, how does that work? I mean, do you know which, whether to pick up the guitar or pick up the banjo? You just decide based on the
Song by song, and I'll never go wrong listening to what April says, because she has an unerring sense. It's one of the things that makes her a great duo partner, is that because it's just the two of us, you have to trust the other person on stage, and I trust her with my musical life.
Yeah, that's great.
Very important.
Well, let's have another song.
All right. We'll do one of Joe's original songs. This is one of my favorites, which is hard to say because I love them all. But one of the reasons that it's a favorite of mine is what we were just talking about. When we met for the very first time, Joe pulled out his guitar and sang this song. He had just written it at that time. So it always kind of takes me back to that first meeting.
I wrote this with my friend Cy Kahn, and you might know Cy's work from the folk scene. He wrote "Gone, Gonna Rise Again" and "Aragon Mill" and about 10,000 other great folk songs. And when I was playing with the fellows who started the Ray Clay Ramblers, Cy would show up, and he liked my music. And so I get an email, literally out of the blue: "Dear Joe, I'd like you to come to Charlotte and write with me." I think by the time he hit send, I was there. And I'm not kidding. This is how it went. I knocked on his door. He flung the door open. He didn't open the door. He flung the door open, and he said, "Here's a chorus. Write some verses." And so I did. It's called "I'm Going Home." I've wandered far, away from friends and everything I knew. I left my home, I left my kin. Sadder yet, I left you. I'm going home, going home. I have been away too long. I'm going home, I'm going home. Did you miss me while I was gone? Did you miss me while I was gone? This hard old world beat me down till I was black and blue. The music gone, no more the sound. Nothing left I found true. I'm going home, I'm going home. I have been away too long. I'm going home, I'm going home. Did you miss me while I was gone? Did you miss me while I was gone? As I lay down in some old barn, I dreamed a dream last night of you. You said you'd keep me from all harm if one favor I would do. You said,
Home, come on home. You have been away too long. Come on home, come on home. I have missed you while you were gone. I have missed you while you were gone.
did you miss me while I was gone? Did you miss me while you was gone?
What a beautiful, beautiful ballad. That is so moving. Both of you did such a lovely job with
Thank
that.
you very much.
And it's hard not to get swept up in the emotions of that song, which are many people can relate to, traveling and being away. And it's great to have a song that communicates that. Music is so great that way, the way it touches on our feelings and communicates to others those feelings. We all kind of feel it together, and go through that. And it's those feelings that I think really make us human. You know, that
Yeah.
really
Well
the
said.
universal feelings. And you guys, you folks do that so well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, we're going to be back with a song and a story from actually my tree climbing days and the wildly popular and esoteric Shoot the Moon game show, in which questions are asked that are biographically connected to our musical guests, Joe Newberry and April Verch.
With support from Judith Robert and in memory of our dear friend Tom Kapasinskis, and from the generosity of the Marshall County Community Foundation and the Indiana Arts Commission and Ely Marshall, you're listening to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour.
Well, welcome back to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour. We're here with Joe Newberry, the incredible Joe Newberry and April Verch, and but we're going to take a brief interlude here. I have a short story to tell you. It's I don't know how exciting it is, but it's a memory from my childhood that kind of was brought on by my my decision to play this song. And when I was young and things got rough and I had trouble in my life, my favorite thing to do was climb a tree. I used to love to climb trees, and especially maple trees. I love maple trees because they grow with such wonderful limb structures, especially as they grow from young trees. They are very easy to climb because the branches are just spaced perfectly. Unlike when you go up in a fir tree, which I've climbed up, you have to kind of weave around and get scratched up by the branches. But here, their branches are kind of evenly spaced. And when I was about 10 years old, I climbed up in a tree on one particularly difficult day, and I was thinking to myself, I was so happy that I had been able to climb the tree because it was the first time I climbed it without using my legs. I had been testing myself, and so I went up the tree with just my arms, and that was really exciting. I got to the top, and I was so proud of myself for climbing all the way up to the top of this tree that I thought, I am so strong that what I'll do is I'm holding onto this limb, and there's a limb right below me. I'll just let go, and my hands, and I'll come down, and I'll catch the next limb. There was only one problem. There was a limb in the way, and it hit me on the chin when I did this, snapped my head back. I literally almost blacked out, and luckily enough, something saved me, and I reached out and grabbed on, and I held on to it, but I was like barely conscious trying to hold on to the tree. It was one of the stupidest things I've ever done. But I've never stopped loving maple trees, and I'm growing one there's one growing on our property that I've just pruned perfectly for my grandson, and I'm hoping that he'll want to go up in it. The other day I was walking by, I literally could not resist starting to climb up in this old tree. And so I climbed a little bit, and my wife was with me, and so she urged me to come down before I broke my neck and did something similar to that. Anyway, I wrote this song called Toward the Light, and in it mentions this wonderful idea of stretching up and out toward the light like a tree does. And John's going to do it with me, right, John?
Sure, why not?
Okay. When I was just a baby, I loved to roam the woods. I climbed the trees, I sniffed the breeze. It was all so strong and good. I loved to watch the little birds scatter and take flight. And I loved to watch those flowers growing up toward the light. Toward the light. Toward the light. We will grow, grow, grow toward the light. Well, you know, as I grew older, the sky grew dark and gray. I watched people pick on people. They had awful things to say. And it wasn't always easy to work things out instead of fight. But my papa tried to teach me so I would grow toward the light. Toward the light. Toward the light. We will grow, grow, grow toward the light. Each day of life is precious, I've learned throughout my years. Though I've had my share of heartaches, it's helped me face my fears. If you find yourself a-walking through the wilderness at night, don't forget to watch those branches stretching out toward the light. Toward the light. Toward the light, we will grow, grow, grow toward the light. So help your friend and neighbor as you travel on your way. Be kind to those around you each and every day. Like a seed that's newly opened, keeping the sun in sight, we will grow renewed and strengthened right toward the light. Toward the light. Toward the light. We will grow, grow, grow toward the light. Toward the light. Toward the light. We will grow, grow, grow toward the light. Thank you.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, from our hometown to yours, the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour. I'm going to take that again. Excuse me. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, from our hometown to yours, the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour presents our very own audience participation quiz show, Shoot the Moon.
It don't matter to me how smart you are. Maybe you're a big buffoon. You don't need to be quick on the draw. All you gotta do is shoot the moon. Shoot the moon. Shoot the moon.
And now, here's the host of Shoot the Moon, the original colonist of little used words and an often chuffy, twistical, and gut-foundered fellow of ribald jollification, George Schricker.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and thank you for that chuftified introduction. That was very elegant. And where did you get that verbiage, by the way?
From a chuftified man. A chuftified writer. I think we only hire chuftified writers for this show.
Okay.
You got to be chuftified. #1 resume.
So while I call up today's contestants, would you mind reading the rules of this woefully contrived yet mentally challenging extravaganza?
Absolutely. It would be my pleasure.
Okay, good.
Prior to the show, audience members indicate their willingness to participate in Shoot the Moon by supplying an answer to this inane survey question, with any number of attendant variables distinguishing the method a person might freely choose, or so they may deceptively think, in the affirmative, and as a result be needlessly subjected to this further interrogation. Are you ready, willing, and able to gently access your remarkable yet environmentally predetermined being in an often silly and self-depreciating manner in the futile attempt to answer a series of capricious and often ill-conceived questions? And now for a collection of audience members who have learned to push a button to ask for a stimulating electrical shock while reciting lecherous limericks, loosing and liberating listless lab rats from locked and loaded, lecithin-loaded layers. Exactly 2 contestants are chosen to wit their pits against each other. So now, let's play Shoot the Moon!
Well, thank you so much. That's great, and I'm glad you volunteered, given all those things you had to go through, and in terms of the shocks and that kind of thing. Right.
We might be reconsidering.
Okay. And Nancy, you are from, is that Bourbonnais, Illinois?
I am. That's correct.
That sounds like something you drink. Bourbonnais.
It's
Bourbonnais.
a little French town in Illinois.
A little French town, and it was founded by the French?
Yes, it was.
Oh, that's interesting. And how large is your town?
It is, I believe, 12,000 people. So
12,000. Okay.
it's just outside of the suburban
about
area.
the size of Plymouth. Not
Yes,
too
it
far.
is.
And you're a retired teacher. And
I am.
And you're in sales, though. Is that right?
I do. I work for a curriculum company.
A curriculum company. I know a little bit. I helped with curriculum many years ago. We'll talk after the show. But that's great. And you love art.
I do. I love art. I studied a lot of art throughout college and
What do you think
things
of
like
our
that.
art here? We have
I
some,
love the art.
Okay, we always are looking for more art. And Tom Buchanan, you have been a teacher out at Ancilla, right?
Yes.
In college. And it says here that you love the Three Stooges.
Oh, I do.
Do you have a favorite Stooge?
Just Larry, Moe, Curly, Shemp, Joe, and Curly Joe.
All of them. Okay. Oh, that's right. And you're also a Hank Williams fan.
I love Hank Williams.
Yeah, me
His
too.
music. I don't know him personally, but yes.
Yeah, that would be something if you
Yes.
did. Okay. Well, we better play this game. I think we have some questions, right? And some. Can you, Maggie?
I'd be happy to.
Read us the categories.
We've
here.
got 4 categories today. Paris of the South, L'amour à la chandelle, advanced degrees, Canada does country.
Okay. So any of those you can ask. And Nancy, I'm going to let you go first.
Do I pick?
You just
Paris,
pick one of
Paris of the South.
Paris of the South. Okay, here we go. All right. Married to her bassist banjoist, Cody Walters, April Verch devotes time between tours at his home in Asheville or hers in Pembroke, Canada. Asheville is a city in the county and is the county seat of Buncombe County, North Carolina. It's located at the confluence of located at the confluence of the French Broad and Swannanoa. Is that how you say it? Swannanoa rivers. It's the largest city in western North Carolina and the state's 11th most popular city. Asheville has had a long history of nurturing a variety of notable authors, musicians, and politicians. Among these are Hope Larson, O. Henry, William Sidney Porter, Thomas Wolfe, actors Charlton Heston and Addie McDowell also hung out in Asheville too. Of the following notable musical greats, which one is not related to Asheville, North Carolina? Is it A, Roberta Flack, Grammy Awards winning singer, B, Jimmy Rogers, also, the singing brakeman, I think, is that right? The singing brakeman, and known as the father of country music, or Wayne Newton. So it's A, Roberta Flack. B,
I'm going to say Wayne Newton.
Wayne Newton. Is that correct? Wayne Newton was born in Virginia, so he has no association with Asheville, just for your information. Not that that's worth anything, but that bit of information is worth anything. Anyway.
So am I correct?
Yes, she got a point. Okay, Tom, pick your category.
Well, let's try going for broke.
No, that's it. Oh, you can't do going for broke yet.
Okay.
You can't do going for broke till you're
Till you
actually
have to
broke.
go for broke.
Well, I'm about there.
Get broke. Okay.
All right, advanced degrees, please.
Advanced degrees, okay. All right, this is perfect. These are falling in perfect line. In an interview with Alan Friend, you can step up to the mic here. In an interview with Alan Friend for the podcast Roustabout, Joe Newberry stated, "I grew up in a singing family in Missouri. My grandfather was a hunting and fishing buddy of Vance Randolph." Is this correct?
That's correct.
Right. The great Ozarks folk song collector. Vance Randolph graduated from Pittsburgh State University in 1914 and later received his master's degree in psychology from Clark University. He wrote numerous folklore books on the Missouri Ozarks. He published 17 books, many concerned with Ozark mountain culture. Now we're going to ask a question. Which of these, Tom, is not a Vance Randolph work? Okay. A, The Talking Turtle on Columbia University Press. B, Pissing in the Snow and Other Ozark Folktales. Or C, Rockin' the Ozarks, Teaching the Mountains to Sing.
Well, I told my students when they didn't know to guess B. So, well, pissing in the snow, is that what that was?
Pissing in the Snow.
Yeah,
right?
we'll go with that.
No, I'm sorry, that's one of his books.
Oh,
It is. Yes, it is.
Didn't your father or somebody know Vance? I mean, they knew him and hung out with him.
When my father was one of those fathers, he'd say, "Get in the car. Just get in the car." And so I got in the car. And we were driving, and I said, "Where are we going, Dad?" And he said, "We're going to meet a great man, son." And we drove down to a nursing home in Arkansas, and it was Vance Randolph.
Wow.
And Mr. Randolph thought that my dad was my grandfather. He was
right.
very elderly, and so he kept calling my dad Sterling. My dad's name was Jim, but my grandfather was Sterling.
Yeah.
And it was just so sweet to watch, even though the memory was a little bit off, it was so sweet to watch him with my dad. And we stayed about a half an hour, and then we left, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah, that's great. That is great. Well, Nancy, we're back to you. What category would you like?
Well, I think I'm going to go with Canada Does Country.
Canada Does Country. All right. This is one you might know something about. You might want to step up to the mic. Okay. As many people might know, April Verch attended Berklee College of Music in Boston. Is that right? That's right.
Yes, I attended for a year.
Yeah, and you had music instruction under fiddlers Matt Glazer,
Glazer,
and
Daryl Anger.
yes, and then you embarked on your professional career right after that.
Yep.
And after 1 year of study, you moved back to Canada, landing in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and played as a backup fiddler for Vancouver-based Celtic pop band Mad Pudding. Is that correct?
This is right, yes.
Yes, and
so far,
Mad,
so good.
Mad Pudding. What was that like? I mean, that was. I kind of tried to listen to some of their music online, but they played all kinds of.
Yeah, they had a lot of influences, and it was a great experience, not only musically, but it was my first time kind of being on the road, and they toured a lot, and we went overseas together, and so I learned a lot about being a good bandmate from them.
And during that, you played with veteran Canadian country singer Tommy Hunter.
Yeah, it was after that, or maybe in between a little bit.
And he had a show, right, on
the
CBC.
Tommy Hunter Show.
Right, and on it, his moniker, this Tommy, he was quite well known in Canada, right?
Oh, that show ran for years. I couldn't tell you how many without looking it up. But when I grew up, every Saturday night, we sat down as a family and watched the Tommy Hunter show on TV. It was just part of our routine.
I'm so
And
embarrassed.
I think it was true for a lot of Canadian families.
I'm
Yeah.
embarrassed to say that I hadn't heard of him before this, so I apologize.
I'm glad I could introduce you to
Yes,
Tommy.
right. And his moniker was Canada's Country Gentleman, right?
Yep.
And he had a lot of guests on his program during this time. Which of these was not a guest on his program, Nancy? Was it A, Garth Brooks, B, Shania Twain, or C, Dwayne Eddy?
I think I'm going to go with C, Dwayne Eddy.
That is correct.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Tom, you're in trouble.
I know.
You're in trouble. And there's only one remaining category here on our board, and that is L'amour à la chandelle.
That sounds pretty.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, what is the score?
Right now, we've got Nancy with 2 and Tom with 0.
Okay. Tom, let's redeem yourself. Okay.
try.
In the same interview that I read with Alan Friend, it mentioned that you lived, see if I've got this right, at the Chez Chandelle Coffee House in Columbia, Missouri. Is that correct? Chez.
I don't know if I'm on.
But was it in when you were about 20? You lived with 6 other musicians?
I lived with 6 other musicians, that's right.
And you were student managers.
We were given a free place to live in
Yeah.
exchange for running programs. My night was open mic night, and I have heard more bad versions of Route 66 than you will ever know.
That's believable. So you went to college classes. You'd come back and spend probably 6 or 7 hours practicing the banjo, right?
That is correct.
And you lived with some terrific old-time musicians. Is that correct?
I lived with Dave Para.
Yeah.
He and his wife, Kathy Barton, were all around the Midwest. I imagine some of the folks in the audience, and then certainly in the radio audience, saw Dave and Kathy. I lived with a fiddler named John Murdoch. I lived with a fiddler named Bob Atchison. Chris Germain, who back then was Chris German.
Yeah.
He changed his name because he became a violin maker, and he didn't want to say that he made German fiddles, so he changed his name to Germain. It was a wonderful place to live and sort of learn my craft.
And you mentioned Kathy Barton, and she actually, I understand she got a folklore degree.
She got a folklore degree down in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Western Kentucky?
Western Kentucky University. I went to high school with Kathy
Oh, that's interesting.
and stood up at their wedding, at Dave and Kathy's wedding. So
Did a lot of great work, and as a folklorist, 2 of her 14 albums concerned themselves with songs written during the Civil War. Did you know that?
Johnny Whistletrigger, yes.
Don't go too much further.
All right.
So you've had some luck here.
I guess.
So, which of these Kathy Barton albums does not concern itself with Civil War songs? Is it A, Johnny Whistletrigger, B, Rebel in the Woods, C, 'Twas on a Night Like This, A Christmas Legacy with the Patton family, Dave Para, Ed Trickett, Skip Gorman, and Gordon Bach?
I'm going to go with C.
Well, that's very good. Give him a hand.
Yay! I'm on the board. Yeah.
What's our score?
We've got Nancy with 2 and Tom on the board with 1.
Oh, so Tom gets to go for broke.
All right.
Can you say that? We have to work this up. So can you say, go for broke?
Go for broke.
All right.
Okay. All right. Tom, Pembroke has several major attractions. Which of these is not one of them? Okay. And you can get help from anybody in the audience or on stage with this, okay?
All right.
So, Is it A, the Champlain Trail Pioneer Village and Museum, where the history of Ottawa Valley settlers come alive? B, the Pembroke Plywood Festival, a celebration of all things that can be done with plywood, including plywood boats, plywood furniture, and plywood cars. During the festival, step dancers, a la April Verch, compete for prizes while dancing on sheets of plywood made in local factories. Right. Or the Pembroke Hydro Museum, commemorating national hydroelectric development in Pembroke, including the first electric streetlights in Pembroke.
Well,
So is it Champlain Trail Pioneer Village and Museum, the Pembroke Plywood Festival, or the Pembroke Hydro Museum?
I'm going to go with A this time.
A, Champlain Trail? Should he go with A? Maybe you'd want to reconsider.
Yeah, did I say A?
No, I think you were just uttering
He
it.
said A. I really did.
Up the creek.
B, okay.
Yeah, sure,
B,
yeah.
is that correct? B is correct.
Thank you.
So now what's our score?
We've got it tied. Nancy with 2 and Tom with 2.
Doesn't seem fair. It doesn't
seem
it's not fair. It's shoot the moon. So what kind of difference has this made?
Well, as a matter of fact, win or lose, everyone gets lucky on Shoot the Moon. Both Nancy and Tom have won a sticker, a big Wild Rose Moon sticker.
Give Nancy and Tom a big hand.
Suitable for applying to one's sauna, Santa, sushi, sugar bush, celery, sombrero, or sizzling samosa. Congratulations, Nancy and Tom. Everyone wins when we play Shoot the Moon.
Well, right after the break, we will feature more conversation and songs with step dancer and fiddler April Verch and multi-instrumentalist and songwriter Joe Newberry.
With support from Judith Robert and in memory of our dear friend Tom Kapasinskis, Ely Marshall, and from the generosity of the Marshall County Community Foundation, the Indiana Arts Commission, you're listening to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour.
Back to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour. You know, we're going to be right back with Joe Newberry and April Verch, but before we're going to have a brief interlude because we have special words of wisdom with us today from our the man who helps keep us all in pitch, right?
If it wasn't for this man.
Yes, I know. So, John, take it away.
There's nothing so profound or great as a moment with Nate.
Nate,
George,
so nice to see you.
you as well. You're kind of close to me though.
Oh, sorry.
It's really nice to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
Too nice, some would say.
I was wondering if you had some words of audio engineering wisdom for us today.
More of a curiosity. You know, I always am trying to do research and
Research.
learn new things about my craft. And
I know.
the other day I got several packages from Sweetwater.
Sweetwater music.
And
right
you know
here
they
in
give out those
Indiana.
bags of candy.
Oh, yeah.
Best part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the best part. And so I dumped them all into a bowl, and I was having myself a nutritious snack.
Yes.
And I was thinking about, I was reading about lunar phase alignment.
Yeah.
Now, phase alignment is a thing where sound waves can collide and cancel each other out or not. They can double each other. Yeah, but I'm really confused about this lunar phase alignment. I was talking with Howard before the show, and we were both a little concerned about rogue waves getting a little out of hand. If there was like a
rogue sound waves might just
Yeah.
be marching through the audience at any moment, taking people out.
it would be very concerning. So
Yeah, so be careful, everyone in the room, please. You might be hit by a rogue wave. And I think you've been eating just a little too much green cheese. And that, my friends, was a moment with Nate. Okay, we're back with Joe Newberry and April Verch, and so exciting. Have you ever heard of that sound device, the rogue waves and all that?
Not the lunar phasing.
Lunar phasing, right? I don't know what that's all about exactly. Oh, I see.
I was just thinking tsunami, and that. Good.
Wow. Wow. Oh, that is a different kind of phasing
That would be,
altogether.
yes, it would.
Yeah. So you've played with some marvelous people.
Yes, sir.
In bands with, I believe you've played with the Red Clay Ramblers, is that right?
I played with Jim Watson, Bill Hicks, and Mike Craver for many years. After they all left the band, when the banjo player Tommy Thompson passed away, they started playing together, and they asked me to sit in that chair. We would go by Craver, Hicks, Watson, and Newberry, but that got cumbersome, so we just started calling ourselves the Law Firm.
Well, that's great. Well, what was your role in the? I mean, there were different instruments. What?
I mostly played banjo in that outfit. I would play guitar occasionally, and I figured that if I could learn the song "Merchant's Lunch," I could do anything. So
Wow, and that song must be very complex.
it's very complex, especially for a banjo player. But
Yeah. Well, I'd ask you to play it, but you've got a guitar on.
Yes, sir.
So I'm just going to let you play something else with April.
We're going to sing another one for you. This is a duet, and I co-wrote it with our friend John Weisberger. We were talking about the Ottawa Valley, where I grew up, and about the logging industry and how difficult it was for some of those early loggers. They had traveled from faraway lands, came to a new place, and then they would have to leave their family behind and go to the logging camp for a long, dangerous winter season of work. And so that's where this song started, and it talks about leaving the people that you love to go and do what you have to do. I am going across the valley, darling, will you wait for me through the long and lonely winter, till my face once more you'll see. Will you keep the ring I gave you, and tell none that you are free? When the flowers of spring are blooming, then it's married we will be. I recall the night we met, dear, as the summer breeze did blow. How I held you as we danced, dear, never wanting to let go. With the moon as our companion, as the stars blinked one by one. These are memories I will cling to till my season's work is done. filled with darkness, while I wait for your reply. My heart trembles as I leave you, and I pray to God above that you'll turn not to another. You're the only one I love. I am going across the valley. Darling, will you wait for me?
That is one gorgeous song. Beautiful, beautiful song.
Thank you.
You keep this music alive and the traditions alive, and both of you teach and have taught in various settings. April, what are some of the places you have taught in the past?
Well, when we were touring full time, I didn't have time to teach private lessons, so most of the teaching was connected with touring. So sometimes it would be a workshop or a master class at the venue before the evening concert, and then also music camps all over the world. I remember going to my first fiddle camp when I was 13 years old, and it was, at first these camps, now people are lucky, they think they've always been around, but that was literally the first fiddle camp in Canada when I was 13. Now there's one in every province, every state, like they're really popular, and it's been wonderful because it's such a great opportunity for people who love the same thing to come and just immerse themselves in this bubble.
Exactly.
Everyone likes the same thing, and it's just magical. You leave inspired for the rest of the year.
I've been to a couple of those camps, so I know, not fiddling camps, but songwriting camps. And you've taught a lot too.
I've taught at home and abroad. I used to run the old-time music program at the Augusta Heritage Center in Elkins, West Virginia. I did that for many years. I've taught over at the National Folk Festival in Canberra, Australia. My favorite overseas camp, I have to say, it's the world's most aptly named music camp. It's called Sore Fingers. It's in the Cotswolds in England, and they work you like a government mule. And you wake up and you teach for 6 hours a day, and then you do workshops, and you do jam sessions and concerts. But by the end of the week, you are playing with a particular fluency that you didn't have. Even for a professional musician, it opens you up. It's an amazing thing. And I recommend anybody who likes this kind of music to go for a week and immerse yourself. And that's where you can get a lot of learning and fun. So, highly recommend it.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I'm the current festival director for the Acadia Festival of Traditional Music and Dance, which takes place in Bar Harbor, Maine at the end of June. And this is my first year coming up as the director.
All right. How great is that? Now, I want to touch just briefly on this subject, and maybe, Joe, you follow up after I ask April. April, at one time, I did a little mini interview with you, and you were talking about an experience that you had in performance where things seem to just be, no mistakes were made, and it was just some sort of magical space. I believe it was in Austria or...
Yes, the Mozart Concert Hall in Vienna.
Yeah, can you describe that hall to us a little bit?
I wouldn't say that there were no mistakes made.
Oh.
But it felt like there weren't, because there are certain magical times where even if you make a mistake or say the wrong thing, everyone is just of the same spirit in that space, and it just works. And you're instantly forgiven, and you feel that. Instead of feeling like, ooh, they heard that, you kind of just feel like everybody just winked at you and went, no problem.
Wow. That's like performer's heaven.
Yeah, it is. And you don't get that every night. Thank goodness, because we just take it for granted. But there are times where you just fall into that feeling, and it's really beautiful. It's magic.
Yeah. Do you have a particular time? I mean, I know you were on Prairie Home Companion. I don't know if that was one of them or where it would be.
I worked a lot as a singer on Prairie Home. Garrison liked my
Yeah.
singing. And
Yeah.
so that gig was where it's sort of like here. You see people doing their job so well, and everybody's sort of working at the highest level of their craft, and it makes it easy. It's like sitting on top of a bubbling fountain where you just do your best. And when you see people like you and your crew doing your best, it makes us as performers want to do the same thing. It's a win-win for everybody. So,
Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Boy, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Well, can you give us one last tune here?
Yeah, we thought we might do banjo and feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Banjo and
This is Ottawa Valley step dancing, and Joe is going to play clawhammer banjo. I don't.
With his feet?
This style, no, with his claws.
Oh.
But this style of dancing originated in the lumber camps, and they didn't have banjos. They had fiddles and accordions, but it sounds pretty good together, and we like to do it.
one of the things I love playing banjo to April's dancing is that she doesn't have prescribed steps. She's going to dance the tune. And if I play a little variation in the tune, she'll dance it. And if I hear her do a step, I'll match it on the banjo. It's sort of like two old friends on your college campus tossing the frizz on a sunny afternoon. That's what this is sort of like. So I'll play a tune from Surrey County, North Carolina called Backstep Cindy, and then we'll go into a little bit maybe of Mississippi Sawyer. One more.
Oh, man. Oh. That's going to last me for a whole year. Yeah, that's so nice, so nice. Well, thank you so very much for coming. Now, you have an album, Going Home, don't you?
We do, yeah. We have 2 albums. That's our main album, and then we have one that goes along with our holiday show, our holiday cheer tour.
Right. Joe, do you know where could somebody get that?
They can find it online. You can go to our Facebook pages. You can go to my website for more information. April's website is coming back up. It's been down for a little bit of maintenance. So I'd say maybe give it a day or two, and we're very findable on the internet. So.
Okay, good. Well, thank you so very much for coming today. We hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to be with you.
And it's always nice to be working with you. And I hope you'll consider coming back sometime.
Oh,
You bet.
in a skinny
We'd
minute.
love to.
Okay.
With support from Judith Robert and in memory of our good friend Tom Kapasinskas, and with additional support from the Marshall County Community Foundation and Ely Marshall, you've been listening to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour.
Thank you, Joe Newberry and April Verch, for your inspired commitment to the advancement and preservation of folk traditions that help to bind us together as evolving humans on our precious planet. We hope you'll come back and visit us at Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour again sometime. Oh. Okay. And thank you to our music producer and cross-picking crooner, John Baylor, our announcer, Maggie Kubley, stage manager, Howard Gibbs, the nerdy nut, Nate Butler, the methodical Matthew Bergmoser, video producers and in-house counseling team, Jonathan Nixon and Jim Yoakum, hospitality coordinators and instigators of merriment, Jennifer Reed, Martina Sam, finance wizard, Frank Filson, Rosie's wardrobe and lips designer, Vera Tiani Schupert, Moonlight makers Dan Schupert and Jean Pazderka, and special thanks to our applausologist, Martina Sam, for her support of the moon, our open mic, and the nutritionist staff. And also thanks to Michelle Schricker, my wife, for being so supportive of the development of Wild Rose Moon. And a great big extra special thanks to WVPE 88.1 Public Radio in Elkhart, Indiana, for helping to make the moon shine for the past 6 years. John.
George.
Would that the swirls aboard your fingertips trip fantastically upon that divine isle of ecstasy you call your fretboard, and skip and leap in energetic elegance as April's toesies do on those multiple plies of skinned wood so marvelously glued into that rectangle of perfect resonance, rocking and rolling upon our stage's maple-lean top.
George, I'm going to put this day on my calendar. My fingers have never been compared to April's toes before. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, let's see him dance. So when you think you've lost that life, all pain and heartache, fill your soul with strife. Just remember, as you're tumbling down, it won't be long.
Here it is.
Till the river goes round.
The river goes round, around the bend. The river goes round, round, round till the very end. And when it stops, woo, it starts again. It won't be long till the river goes round. Goes round, round the bend. The river goes round, round, round till the very end. And when it stops, woo, it starts again. It won't be long till the river goes round. It won't be long till the river goes round and round and round. Okay, now we get to wait for the verdict.
The verdict is that this was an awesome show. Thank you, audience, for being here.
Oh, great, great. We don't need to record anything else. Thank you all very much for coming. And let's give another nice hand to our performers, Joe Newberry and April Verch. And hope we see you again next weekend. We have another radio show planned for Sunday, April 2nd, and that's Caroline Cotter is coming in from the East Coast. And Caroline, we know her from the very beginnings of her career because she came here early on under a grant, and we didn't have much money to spend when we first opened, and she came in for under this grant, and she just blew the house away. And so she's been back 3 or 4 times. So that is sponsored by the Bowen Printing Company, that concert. So we're really lucky to have her come in. So we hope you'll come back on 3 to 4 for the show on next Sunday. And then there's a wonderful performance by Caroline supporting her new album, which she's written a lot of new songs, and she's working on a new album, and she'll be here doing those songs. And it will be on 7 o'clock, at 7 o'clock that's a Sunday night. So we hope to see you there. And tickets are available at Ask for Flowers down in Culver at Culver Coffee Company, and or online, ticket line, if you go to wildrosemoon.com. Okay, thanks very much for coming. Tonight at the Reese. Oh yeah. And tonight at the Reese, April and Joe will be playing at 7 o'clock and doing a whole complete set. So it'll be really great. What? I don't know. I think there might still be tickets. Yeah.
Most of the time, I feel 2 foot small. If you can't say it nice, don't say nothing at all.